All right. And then if somehow like you get kicked off of this, you could try the link back on, or I'm recording it, so I'm going to post a video later for those people that couldn't get on, or if you get on later. Let's see. So Mohammed, I see you raised your hand, so it worked. If you have something to say right now, you could just put it in the chat till I unmute everything. So Caleb, I saw you raise your hand. So as I go through the lesson, like I get a little notification that you raised your hand. So if you have something, a question to say or something, you can let me know. All right. I'm going to start. So first off, I'm going to unmute you all. So there's 2, 4, 6, 12, 14. There's a lot of you, so I'm not going to even count. So I'm going to unmute you guys now so everybody could just say hello. Everybody could just say hi. I got it. I unmuted.
Hi.
Hello.
What's that music? What's that music?
Hi guys, everybody ready?
Hi. Yeah.
Pat.
So I want you to keep your video off when I'm meeting you. So hello to everybody. Where are you? What?
Oh, there we go. My bad mic's connected. What do you want?
We don't.
I have headphones on. I'm destroying my eardrums.
All right. So you're all back to being muted. If you have something to say, you can write it in the chat. You can write it in the chat. Let me make sure everything's right. And then it just goes to me. Okay. So I'm going to keep everybody muted for now, and then at the end of it. Okay. So welcome to class. So we're going to talk about parallelograms today. So before we talk about parallelograms, we have these 2 sets of lines. I want you to copy down these 2 sets of lines in your notes. So draw the ones in green and draw the ones in purple. If you don't see something that I'm talking about, just write in the chat, because then I might have clicked something different. So can you guys see the green and purple lines? Can somebody write in the chat to me if you could see it? Okay, good. So I got that. I got enough people that said yes. Okay, so let's copy that down. And then what do I call the purple lines? If you know, click the raise hand button and I'll unmute you to answer. So let's see. So many of you. Okay, so Aiden answered first, so I'll unmute you, Aiden. So what are the purple lines called?
It was, I forgot what it was called.
All right, whoever's writing, don't write. I shouldn't have to tell you to do that. So whoever just annotated that, please don't do that, because then I'm just going to shut this all down. So the purple lines somebody wrote are called parallel lines. So that's my job to write on here, not yours. So that is, the purple lines are parallel, so let's write parallel with that. And then the green lines, perpendicular, I always have a problem spelling it. So then label your green lines as perpendicular. Okay. So we have those down. So a parallelogram has 2 sets of parallel lines. So who can give me an example of a parallelogram? You can raise your hand. All right. So Mohammed, what's an example?
A square.
Good, a square, awesome. What else? I don't know what I'm doing right now. Sandra, what's another example of a parallelogram?
A rectangle.
What were you gonna say?
A rectangle.
Good. So a rectangle is also a parallelogram. So if we look at the next slide, these are examples of, whoever wrote the parallel word, please get rid of that because now it's in the way of all my stuff. So whoever did that, please get rid of it. And let's not do that again. So these are examples of parallelograms. So the formula for the area of a parallelogram, let's write it down. So if you need to draw a parallelogram, so this is usually what a parallelogram looks like. So here's a couple other shapes of parallelograms. So the formula for the area of a parallelogram, we need to write this down. So area equals base times height. Okay, so make sure you get that down in your notes. So we should have down in our notes the area of a rectangle. Who could tell me what the area of a rectangle is? Raise your hand, I'll let you speak if you can find it. Anybody else? So I see Muhammad raised his hand. I'll give somebody else a chance to speak if they want. And Sandra and Aiden, so all people that already spoke. Anybody else want to speak? Caleb.
Oh.
Caleb, so what should they write down in their notes for the area of a rectangle or a square?
Area equals base times height.
Good, so just base times height or length times width. And then in our notes, what should we write for area of a triangle? Anybody else want to raise their hand and answer? Gianna, I want to unmute you. Okay, Gianna, what should they write down for area of a triangle?
1/2, and then in parentheses, b times h.
Good, and then what are you doing with the 1/2 and the b times h?
You're either multiplying by 1/2 or dividing by 2 after you multiply b times h.
Perfect, so we could either write down, right, nice, Gianna. So you could write down 1/2 times base times height or base times height divided by 2. So the area of a parallelogram is quite simple. Because it's basically a rectangle that's tilted, you follow the same formula for a rectangle. So just base times height, it's just tilted, okay? But it's just, we're gonna look at the examples where we need to make sure we're getting the right base and height. Okay. So if you can't raise your hand on a laptop, I'm sorry. There should be somewhere where you could click it. If you maybe click like participants or something, and then if you're on an iPhone, on the bottom, there should be like 3 dots that says more. But on your laptop, if you look at the menu bar at the bottom. So make sure you have all 3 formulas written down. So let's look at this example here. So I have a parallelogram ABCD. So it says that the base of my parallelogram is BC and my height is DE. Who can explain why BC is the base and DE is the height? Okay, Addison, I got your hand raised. Okay, so Brandon was first I got here. So Brandon, can you explain why they're the base and the height?
Because the base is always on the bottom and the height's always going up.
Okay, one thing, so the base doesn't necessarily always have to be on the bottom, but the base and the height have to be what? Let me see, Brandon. Let me unmute Brandon, give him another shot. Unmute. Brandon, so the base doesn't necessarily have to be on the bottom. I could call AD the base, but the base and the height have to be what?
They have to be they can't be opposite sides.
Okay, close. I'll let somebody else give it a try. Let's see, Isabel, why are BC and DE the base and the height?
Because they are perpendicular with each other.
Good, so make sure that they are perpendicular to each other. So again, this word parallel is now in the way, but if you read this caution note, it says that the height of the parallelogram is DE, not DC, because DC is not perpendicular to the base. So again, I look for the right angle. So the box shows the right angle. Then I go up from there. So D is the height, and the base also needs to be some side of my parallelogram. So then if you see here, if you want, take a second while I'm talking through this to copy down that example. So I'll give you about a minute and a half to write that down. Addison, I just unmuted you. How did you find the raise hand? Addison, I unmuted you. Can you hear me? Let me see. Martine, what kind of device are you on?
On my laptop.
You're on your laptop. Is anybody else on a laptop that can help out Martine find the raise hand? Ethan, let's see. Ethan, can you explain to Martine? Wait, unmute. Ethan. Unmute. I don't know why I can't unmute you, Martine. Oh, there, Ethan, you're unmuted. Can you explain to Martine?
You have to go to participants and then it's going to show raise hand on the bottom right.
Oh, okay, thanks.
You found it? Good, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ethan and Martine, you're good. Okay. So, everybody got this example down? Okay, so if I look at this example, so to find the area of this parallelogram, they just did base times height. So they did 8 times 4, which was 32. And then it's centimeters times centimeters, so 32 centimeters squared. Again, you just need to make sure when you look at a shape, you identify its shape. So right now we know squares, we know rectangles, we know triangles, and now just a parallelogram. And like I said, a parallelogram is just a rectangle that's like tilted. So you follow the same formula. So take like 45 seconds or so to draw this green parallelogram in your notes. Maybe I'll unmute somebody while you're drawing. Let's see. Who should I unmute? While everybody's drawing, raise your hand if you want to say hi to the class. Julia, you could say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Okay. Did you draw your parallelogram?
Yes.
Okay, good. You're both back to be muted. Let's see. Isabella, you want to say hi?
Hi.
There you go. Did you draw your parallelogram?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so I can't walk around and check, so I'm just hoping that you actually do what I say, please. Okay, so if I look at this parallelogram here, I want to find the area of it. So area equals, I'm going to do base, make sure you're writing what I'm writing, base times height. Let's see. Nicolina, which number would I use for the base?
21.
Very good. And let's see. Carlos, which number would I use for the height? Carlos?
14.5 inches.
So we're looking at the green one.
Oh, 12 centimeters.
Very good. So I want to use those two numbers. So I would write 21 times 12, and then you would do that math. Lower all hands. Who's got the answer for us after we do the multiplication there? Let's see. James, what did you get for an answer, James? James, I unmuted you. Can you hear me? Okay, guess not. Alexandra, what did you get for an answer?
I got 252 centimeters squared.
So 252 centimeters squared. So that sounds about right. If it's not, just type it in the chat that you got something else. So that sounds good. Why did we use the 12 as the height and not the 13? Who can answer me that one? Give somebody else a chance to talk. Why are we using 12 as the height? Let's see. We got lots of answers. I'm loving this. You guys are all raising your hand. Okay, Angel, why is 12 the height and not 13? Angel, can you hear me? Does your sound work? Okay, that didn't work. Let's try somebody else. Victoria. Why?
Because that's what
Go ahead.
because that's what makes the right angle.
Good. Which one makes the right angle?
12 and 21.
Good. And then how did you know that 12 and 21 made a right angle?
Because there's a little box.
Good. So perfect. So the box shows that there's a right angle right here. Okay. And then the two forms that. So somebody just wrote me in the chat that if I call on you and there's no audio, just next time when we get on Zoom, it might say to like connect to your phone or your computer's audio system. Just click yeah for that, because then you'll be able to answer. So then we would do 21 times 12, because like Victoria said, there's the right angle there. Take a second, draw the next parallelogram, the one in red here. I'll move it over to the side. So again, it's a parallelogram. So what formula would I use, Addison? Can you tell us what formula to use for this parallelogram?
Wait. Hold on, I need to finish writing it down.
Okay.
The triangle, wait.
So we had a triangle was 1/2 times base times height. So this time we have a parallelogram. So what formula? Did you write it down before, or you didn't get a chance?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
Okay. Okay, so when somebody gives us the answer, just make sure you get it down, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Isabella, tell us what formula we should have down.
Base times height.
Good. So base. So just base. You can write the words out. Base times my really ugly writing of base times height. That's all we need to do. And again, we just follow base times height because it almost looks like a rectangle, but we need to just make sure we're using the right thing for the height. And then what numbers am I going to use as my base and my height? So somebody I haven't heard from today, please. Let's see, Callie. Let me unmute you, Callie. Where'd you go? Unmute. Hi, Callie.
Hi. 24, 14.5.
Perfect, Callie. So we want to use 24 and 14.5. So go ahead and multiply those numbers. And let's see, do we have an answer? Sorry, it takes me a while to scroll through this thing. Addison, you got an answer for that one?
348.
Perfect. And then your units would be, don't forget, inches squared, because you did inches times inches.
Yeah.
Good. All right, awesome. So that's really it for a parallelogram. I think parallelograms kind of are relatively simple. Take like 3 minutes or so, do these two in your notes by yourself. So I'll just wait patiently while you do them, and then we'll talk about the answers in a second. But I want you to do them, so pretend like I'm walking around looking over you like I do in class. But I'm just going to sit here and stare at my computer instead. If you have a question, type it in the chat. It goes only to me. So if you're stuck right now, please let me know, or if you're confused in the chat, and then I can explain it to you, and I can type back just to you as well in the chat. So if you're unsure of like those two problems that we just did, let me know in the chat. So I'll give you another 2 minutes or so. Another minute, kind of easier numbers. Charlie, to raise your hand, if you're on a phone, there should be like 3 buttons on the bottom. And then I think Ethan said on a laptop, if you click participants, there's an option to raise your hand. So I guess just play around with all the different things for another second to see if you found it there. Anybody else has a question, just let me know. 1 foot. Oh, actually, okay, let's change this. So good that somebody noticed. I'm just going to change this so we're not worried about conversions. It does say 1 foot, but everything else is in inches. So let's just make this inches for the simplicity of this. Somebody asked, is there always going to be a number on the bottom? No, there's not going to be a number on the bottom. Parallelograms follow like the same properties like a rectangle, so opposite sides are equal. So like in the second one, there's no number labeled on the bottom, but opposite sides are equal. Yeah, if your mic settings were turned off, you could turn them on so that I can call on you. I know parallel is still there, whoever wrote that. Messed up my whole thing. I'd like that not to happen again. Let's see, any other questions I can address? I feel like famous, like I'm on like Instagram Live where people ask me questions and I talk. Sorry. It's cool. Okay. If you don't have the raised hand button, no, the Zoom's only gonna be like 5 more minutes. The Zoom's not gonna be long. So if you could just like stay with me for like 5 more minutes, we have like 2 more slides left. Okay, so that was definitely enough time to answer these 2 questions and to have them in your notes. So the first one, who can explain this first one and what our answer is? Let's see, let's see. Charlie, you found the raised hand button?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You want to explain the first one and what you got as an answer?
You mean the one on the left?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you would take the one on the bottom, you would take 1, and then you would take 10 because 1 is your base, and then 10 is your height. No, wait, I messed up. 8 is your height because it's the dotted lines mean it's your height.
Very
so
good.
You would times 1 by 8, and then you would get 8, and then that's your answer.
Good. And what would my units be?
8 inches. The inches would be your units.
Okay, so 8 inches squared, don't forget, because we did inches times inches.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome, Charlie. So I like that he realized, like he said 10 at first, but then he realized 10 is a diagonal line. So 10 is not your height. Your height has to be perpendicular, and usually the height is shown with the dotted line. Awesome, Charlie. And then the one on the right here, let's see, Juliana, let me unmute you. Unmute. You want to explain the one on the right for us?
Yeah, so you would take 6 centimeters, and because that's your height, and then 10 centimeters because that's your base, and you multiply it to get 60 centimeters squared.
Awesome. And then why is 10 the base, but it's not on the bottom? Can you explain that?
I don't know how to explain it.
Okay. I'll call on somebody else. No worries. Let's see. Let's mute you back. Ariana, where are you? Let me move over here. Ariana, I'm going to try and find you. There you go. Ariana, can you explain why 10 is the base when it's not on the bottom?
It's 10 because the both sides are equal sides. So the 10 centimeters can be either on the top or bottom.
Perfect. So like Ariana just said, that they're on opposite sides of each other. So just like a rectangle, 10 would also be on the bottom here, and 6 is the height, okay? And then technically this side here would be 7. So opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. Look at this question here. I cannot find the area of this. So it says, why can't we find the area of this parallelogram? So many people want to participate. I'm loving this. Let's see. Zainab, I haven't heard from you today. Where'd you go? I'm gonna unmute you. Okay, Zainab, can you explain why we can't find the area of this parallelogram?
It's because there's no height where the dotted line is, and 8 centimeters isn't the height.
Good, and why is that not the height?
It's because it's a diagonal line.
Good, so it's not perpendicular to that 10. Awesome, Zainab. So we can't find it because we don't know what this piece is right here. So this piece right here, that would be the height. Somebody just asked if we need to lower our hand. I try to click lower hand after the question. I can lower all of your hands at the same time. But yeah, after I pick somebody, you can lower hand and then raise your hand. But I am trying to just get to different people today. And then let's look at this one. So obviously this shape is a triangle. So take a second and do this in your notes. I'll give you a couple minutes. 2 minutes. We have 2 more questions, so I'm not going to try to make the Zooms long, but I do want to, so everything's building up. So as you're tracing this or drawing this in your notes, we still need to know squares and rectangles. Triangles we're still going to work with, and now we're just adding in a parallelogram, and tomorrow we're going to add in a new shape as well. So we need to make sure we're using the right formulas here. So let's see. Brandon, what formula would I use for the triangle?
You would do 9. I mean,
what formula? Don't tell me the numbers yet. What formula?
You would do base times height equals area.
Nope.
Oh no, it's there. Never mind.
You know it or no?
Length times width.
Nope. I'll give somebody else a try. Let's see, Fabiana. Let's see. Hi, Fabiana. Is your mic working? Oh, I don't think you have your sound connected. Danielle, what formula would I want to use here?
A half of base times height.
Good. So I want to do base times height times 1/2, or what else could I do, Danielle? If I don't want to times it by a half, I could also do
Divided by 2.
Very good. Or, perfect, Danielle. Or, so these are things you should be writing down. Base times height divided by, I don't know why my pen is like lagging today. Base times height divided by 2. So then, let's see. Sayaka, can you tell me what numbers I'm going to use in this formula?
9 and 4.2.
Good. Can you tell me why you chose those numbers?
Because 9 is the base and 4.2 is the height.
Good. And why are those the base and the height?
I can say why 4.2.
Good. Yeah. So why is 4.2 the height?
Because it's a straight line and it makes up the right angle.
Perfect. And then how did you know there was a right angle?
Because there's a box in the corner.
Very good. Perfect, Sayaka. And then if we do that, what did we get as a final answer? Matthew, did you get a final answer for this one?
37.8.
How'd you get 37.8? What'd you do?
I multiplied.
And then, but it's a triangle, so then what do you have to do?
Oh yeah,
After I multiply 9 times 4.2, I get 37.8, but then what do you still have to do?
divide by 2.
Good, so then you gotta divide that by 2, and then let's see, Rebecca, you have an answer for us?
Yes.
What'd you get?
18.9 centimeters squared.
Not 18.9. Let's see. Mariana, what'd you get for this one?
I got 18.92.
Oh, wait. Oh, very good. Sorry. I had it written down wrong. So, good job. Sorry, Rebecca. Good job. So, you got 37.8, and then you needed to divide it by 2 or times it by 1/2. So, we did 9 times, I guess my pen's lagging because of all the stuff going on my computer right now. 9 times 4.2 times 1/2, or you could do 9 times 4.2, like Matthew said, to get that 37.8, and then divide it by 2. Last question here. Find me the area of this parallelogram. So copy it down first. I'll give you a minute. And this is the last problem. I know it's taking a little bit of time, but getting in the hang of it. If you got something for that last one other than 18.9, just like write in the chat that you got something else, and I could try to help you separately, like after this or something. So copy this one down. So first of all, we need to use the right formulas. So it's a parallelogram. So sorry, I just need to go back to the last one. Somebody asked if we're gonna do Zoom every day. Probably not every day, because I don't expect you guys to be able to get on like at this time and give that the time. Okay, so Ethan, you have this one solved?
Yeah.
Okay, so what two numbers did you use for the base and the height?
For the base, I used 3.25.
Good, and where'd you get 3.25 from?
I converted the 1/4 into a decimal, which is 0.25, and then I used 6 centimeters for the height.
Good, and why did you use those two numbers?
Because they're perpendicular to each other.
Perfect, Ethan. And then, so we should have either gotten, I have two answers possible for you, 19.5 or 9.75. In the chat, I want you to write me which one you got or if you got something else. So 19.5 or 9.75. Or if you got something else, then obviously say you got something else. So I'm getting all these answers in. Awesome. Good job, guys. Okay, so 9.75 is not my answer. It's 19.5. So explain to us why it is 19.5. Anybody that hasn't spoken today that would like to speak? Who hasn't spoken today? James, I can't remember if you spoke today, but I don't think you have. So James, can you tell us why it's 19.5?
Because I did 4 times 1 goes into 7, and then 7 minus 4 is 3, and then I brought down the 8, and then I did it, and then I did
Wait, so what did you do? So don't walk me through the multiply. So what did you do to get 19.5?
I did base times height.
Very good. So we just do base times height. If you got 9.75, then you divided by 2. When is the only time that you divide by 2, Isabel? You divide by 2 when it's a
triangle.
Very good. Okay, so you just got to make sure. So this answer, I would do 3 1/4. I could have left it as a fraction if I wanted to, times 6. And then I could have turned that into 12, 13, 14, 13 fourths times 6. And did it that way, or like Ethan did, he converted it into a decimal and did 3.25 times 6. So I get 19.5 centimeters squared. Okay, so we just need to make sure we're using the right formulas for the right shapes. When it's a triangle, then you want to divide by 2. Whoever's drawing on the screen, please don't do that. Okay, so that was it for parallelograms. I'm going to unmute you all right now. How do we feel with this? Good?
Heyo.
Hi.
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 Like, get your hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi or bye? Which one?
For video. Okay,
Hi or bye.
This is what we're going to mute off. Yeah. This is what you're going to do now. The second thing that I have posted in the post where I posted the link is a link to a worksheet. The directions are there, but you're only doing 5 questions, okay?
Okay.
You're doing number, it's listed there, 5, 10, 13, 15, and 20. It's listed there, so lose 5, 10, 13, 15, and 20. You're doing them in your notes, just like you did these and wrote them down. I want you to do them in your notes, and then you're writing me the answers on Google Classroom. So I made it like an open-ended question. So you're submitting me, not as a class comment, you're submitting me the answers to those 5 questions. Keep in mind the different formulas for the different shapes. We're going to learn a new shape tomorrow. The numbers were 5, 10, 13, 15, and 20. If you have any last question in general, just type it in the chat that you think everybody would benefit from hearing an answer to. But like I said, we need to have all of our shapes with the formulas nicely written out somewhere, because tomorrow we're going to learn another new shape. The questions, it's listed on Google Classroom, okay? Mohammed, lots of times. Any type, if you're designing something, Mohammed asked when we will use this in real life. Lots of math turns into real life. So if you're designing something, you're making a blueprint, architecture, anything design, like interior design, anything where you're talking about covering something. Area is probably one of the most widely used things. And then if we can't stop writing on my screen, we just won't do this. You're answering the questions, it should be as just an answer, not as, it shouldn't be a private comment. You should just be able to answer the question, just like when you click, like here, it's just not multiple choice. There should be a place to just put an answer. I think you guys did something like that the first day for me. Okay, I'll unmute you all so you could all say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye.